How great would it be if after one conversation, you knew the person you were talking to would describe you as someone who gets it, someone who understands them, someone who's trustworthy, someone who they would be open to doing business with, someone who they like. All of these attributes are so important when we're meeting and talking to people that we all would like to garner. Today, I'm going to teach you how. I'm Barron Cruz, and this is the Charisma Matrix. Advanced communicators are always very aware of what the other person is feeling. They want them to feel understood. It's a yearning that everyone has, whether you're talking to your spouse or you're at work. We want to feel understood. But it's very challenging to make other people feel understood because a lot of the intuitions that we have as humans goes to make people feel not understood. We're quick to impose our thoughts and judgments. We're quick to interject before it's our time to speak. We're quick to formulate our next thought as opposed to actually listening to what they're doing. So I want to take it one step further, and this is an advanced topic. So if you're just getting into social interaction and influence and things like this, you may want to put this on the back burner until you have the basics covered. But what I'm going to talk about today is communicating, addressing, and talking to what the other person is feeling as opposed to what they're saying. So when people are formulating a message and they're communicating with you and they're talking, there's two different things that you can pay attention to. You're talking to what they want to communicate and what they're trying to communicate and what they're actually communicating by adding in what they're thinking and what they're feeling. You see, it's impossible to manage all of your sub-communications, your micro-expressions on your face, your subtle tonality, your subtle shifts in body language and eye contact. And when we add these things into the picture of what they're trying to communicate, we're able to get a very good feel for what they're actually saying and what they're feeling. And this is going to allow us to have next level type of interactions because we're going to truly understand them, not just what they're trying to communicate, which is what most people are focusing on with a very surface level interaction. So let me give you an example of this. Let's walk you through a situation. So say you're at work and you're talking with your boss and it's Monday and you say, "Hey, Bill, how was your weekend?" And he says, "Oh, it was, actually, let me play Bill over here." So Bill says, "Oh, it was a good weekend. I took my kids out to the park and Susie actually slipped up on her bike a little bit and got a little spill, but like kids are. And we went and actually got some ice cream and wrapped it up early Sunday night, feeling good." All right. So how are most people going to react to that? They're going to say, "Oh, cool. Sounds like a good little weekend. I had a good weekend too. I'll see you in the meeting." Right? And no problem with that, right? That's 95% of people. And they're going to think, "Well, what did you want me to do?" He said he had a nice weekend. He obviously didn't make any very dramatic statement like he wanted me to hang around and talk. He kept it kind of light. So obviously he just wanted a quick response and to get on with his day. Well, that's amateur hour. If you really want to be a master communication, you got to know what he was feeling. So let's look at all the different components that we can add into that picture to get a really good grasp of what he was thinking and feeling at that time. So when he's saying that, the first thing that's coming to my mind is he brought up his children. He spent 30 to 40% of the time talking about her falling off her bike and skinning her knee, quickly tried to cover it up with, "Oh, you know how kids are," and then ended it with something trying to change the subject. So I see him covering up a very hot button issue, but nobody wants to be around someone that brings up negativity. So he knows if he were to say, "I actually went out and Susie skinned her knee and, it was a tough situation. It was a lot of blood." People know nobody wants to hear that. But people want to feel heard and feel understood. And if that was something stressful in his mind, that's something you want to talk about. So the way I'm looking at this is I'm seeing parents are obsessed with their children, right? And when something goes wrong, it's an incredibly stressful event, right? I know that. I know we spent a lot of time talking about her. And I also know that he changed the subject quickly, oftentimes inferring they caught themselves going too far in something that they maybe thought it wasn't appropriate to talk about. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say, "Oh, yeah, is she okay? Is she able to go to school today? That sounds like that's kind of rough. I know it can be kind of traumatic for kids when they fall off their bikes at that age." And then Bill comes back and says, "Yeah, it actually, it wasn't that bad. She didn't have to get stitches. She's back in school. We put a butterfly bandage on her. She should be okay." Okay, cool. So now you brought that up. He's thinking, oh, Barron actually, he was listening to me. He's going to feel somewhat understood. And he's going to feel like you weren't just every other guy in here who responded with, oh, cool, glad you had a good weekend. But now let's take it one step further. So now he's giving us even more information. He's saying, we put a butterfly bandage on it, but it didn't need stitches. So now we know this was not something that was just a surface level scratch, right? This isn't something that's just going to have a little tiny scab on it. It's like something somewhat serious. So now we can infer that he's probably been worried about this since it happened. It's probably still on his mind. So we're going to show empathy by saying something even more engaging, I guess, in what he was feeling. Not what he was communicating, what he was feeling. So you're going to say, oh man, that sounds terrible. I know that as a parent, when your kid gets hurt like that, that can be very stressful. How are you doing, man? How are you doing today? You hanging in there? That is the empathy statement. That's what's going to create that power. Because now you're showing you understood who he was communicating at a very deep level, and you're concerned about him. And you're not just concerned about the daughter, you're concerned about how that's affecting him. So this is very 2 levels up. So now he's going to feel like Barron not only was listening to me, understands what I was communicating, I feel good about that, but he's actually worried about how I feel. He's going to feel completely understood. He's going to feel like you took the time, like you care. And you do. The thing is, these aren't just superficial tactics to get people to feel rapport with you. You're going to feel great about this because making people feel understood through those mirror neurons, you're going to get a boost from that. It's going to increase the quality of both of your days. And he's going to feel like anytime in the future he needs someone to go to with something more serious, he's going to come to you. This is a great example of a way, a lot of times people ask me how they can get past those surface level interactions that everyone likes to stick to in the workplace because they're comfortable, they're safe, there's no risk. Well, I guarantee if you have one interaction with someone like this and you end with an empathy statement like, man, I know as a parent how stressful that can be when your kid gets hurt. How are you doing? Are you hanging in there? One conversation that gets to that level, that you chose to take to that level by speaking to the way the person is feeling as opposed to what they're saying, is going to blow that out of the water, and likely you're never going to be communicating at a surface, cheeky level with that person again. So think of all the different extrapolations of this. If you're a guy and you're talking to a girl you like, use this tactic to make her feel understood. It's going to create that rapport. It's going to create that warmth that's always good to have with another person. Try this out, even like if you really want to take this to a crazy level, like I like to, just to see how far it can go. Try this at the grocery store. So I actually have communication like this all the time. So say you're at the grocery store, you're checking out, and it's 9 a.m. on Saturday, and there's some person there who's 22 years old. You say, what time did you guys open today? I say, 7 o'clock. Okay, so what are they communicating? 7 o'clock, something is not pleasing about that. So likely they had to come on at 7 o'clock. So you say, 7 o'clock, you had to be on that early? And they say, yeah, it's a long night last night. And you say, it'd be nice if I could talk. And you say there's a new bar or restaurant, some sushi place. Were you at Kampai last night, man? I heard it was a great time. And they say, we actually were there. It was the first night open. It was a great time, but man, it was a late night. That sake was flowing. So people will just open up at this point. And this isn't as deep of a statement as empathy. You're not saying, oh man, I guess you could comment on how tough it is to be at work when you're hungover. But this is just to see how you can get people to open up and blow past those superficial kind of interactions that people tend to have because what's considered polite socially, and get to a real meaningful conversation that's going to create a memorable effect in their mind. Do you think if I have that conversation with the grocery store clerk, next time I come in, they're not going to remember me? They may even laugh and chuckle about what we were talking about. One word, you say, you at Kampai last night? They're going to laugh. They remember that stuff. And being memorable is an attribute that's nice to live with because it helps you in a lot of different ways that charisma does as well. So think about the different ways you can use this. Try it out immediately. Get to the deepest statement. Make the person feel the most understood that you possibly can by communicating with what they're feeling. Add that as a color. Don't look black and white what they're trying to communicate. Look at what they are communicating through their feeling, through their nonverbal, and what they're trying to communicate.